started playing guitar when I was 13. Grew up on the Beatles and the Beach Boys and Elvis and Johnny Rivers and the Monkees and the Rolling Stones and Simon and Garfunkel, and the list goes on. But I wanted to play guitar in church. I thought, I'm going to play a song in church, me and a friend of mine. Couldn't play guitar in church. Said that was the devil's instrument. It was rock and roll. No place for rock and roll in the church. If I wanted to play piano or organ, I could play. But other than that, it wouldn't set well. At the time, I just thought, something doesn't sound right about that. What is that? Skipping forward, now I'm 21 years old. I'm out on my own. And still, if you'd asked me to this day, I was saved. I was going to heaven. I was saved. I was a Christian, born again. However, it wound up a lady lived with me, and I found myself at an abortion clinic. My concept of who God is and His character is He cares more about the length of my hair, whether women wear pants, and what music I'm playing than anything else. So if those things don't meet God's standards, well, what I've done now and the stuff that I've done, He don't even care about me. God doesn't even want a part of me. So that led me to that downhill spiral when I was 21. So at 26 years old, I wake up one day and say, that's it, I'm done. Today's the last day I'm going to live. That's it. That day, I get a phone call from somebody that I hadn't talked to in years. I don't even know how they got a hold of me. They were just a friend of a friend. They called me and said, hey, look, how are you doing? Of course, I said, I'm doing fine. Same answer we all say. Put the mask on, you know, that fake mask. And they said, God told me to call you today. I said, well, God didn't tell you to call me. I know that for a fact. God doesn't want anything to do with me after what I've done. They invited me to church. I said, I don't want anything to do with it. Don't want anything to do with church. Bunch of legalistic hypocrites praise God in the church and then go out and cuss the waitress out after church because they didn't have the glass full. I said, I don't want no part of it. They wouldn't take no for an answer. They said, I know if you say you'll go, I know that you'll keep your promise. So finally, just to get her to shut up, I said yes. I went. And to my amazement, I heard something I really had never heard in my life. I heard about grace, that no matter what I've done, no matter where I've been, no matter how wrong it was, God would forgive me, no matter what it was. And He wasn't a God of character that it was up in heaven with a stick trying to beat me across the head every time I messed up, or waiting to throw stones at me for every time I messed up. He was a God that no matter what I've done, His grace covered it and even more. I thought, how is this? So I'll never forget the night I was driving down the road, and I pulled off the side of the road, set up on some steps, and I said, okay, God, here's the deal. I hear this religion versus relationship. I hear that you have enough grace to cover no matter what I've done. I said, if you have enough grace to cover everything that I've done, I'm willing to give you my entire life, but I want all of you. And it was that day in the timeline of my life, it was that day, that if I look back on a day, that day was the turning point in my life. That day was the day that things changed in my heart, in my life. There was a hunger after that to know who God was. There was a hunger to open His Word to find out what He had to say to me. And if it hadn't have been for God's grace in my life today, I wouldn't be sitting here.